Alright, so in this video I'm just going to try to go quickly through the quiz review for Unit 7. So finding x-intercepts just means what numbers make parentheses 0. So on that first one it's just negative 3 and 5. Here it's 3 over 2 and negative 5. And here it's negative 1 and 2 over 5. If you have a hard time with some of those fractions, just imagine writing down that parenthesis, those parentheses equals 0. So 5x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. You know how to solve this equation. We've done it many times before. So 5x equals 2. Divide both sides by 5, and you'll see why I wrote down 2/5. Some of you are fixated on getting a decimal answer. If you want a decimal, you can get a decimal. You could write this as 0.4, but the fraction is so much easier. It really is, because the two numbers that are inside the factor show up in the solution. Okay. I know that I will never convince some of you that fractions are easier, but they really are. Okay. Factor the following, then find the x-intercepts. I know that this factors to be x minus 7 times x plus 5. I know that because negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. So my x-intercepts are positive 7 and negative 5. This middle one here is missing an x. There should be an x on that. So we're going to pretend there's an x on that. So this is going to be x minus 11 times x minus 3, because negative 11 plus negative 3 is negative 14. Negative 11 times negative 3 is positive 33. Part C, we have x minus 9 times x plus 2. Because negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So then I flip them around to get my x-intercepts. This next one factors. I'm going to show you my thought process. I know that I have to do 1 times 3 to get 3. Somehow I need to end up with 16 x's. So I'm going to put 5x over here and 1x over here. And the reason I do that is if I did 5 times 3, I get 15. 1 times x, I get up to 16. Everything is positive in the standard form, so everything is positive in the factored form. My two x-intercepts are negative 1/5 and negative 3. Now let's look at this next one. I know that I need to do 3x times x, and I also need to get 8. 8 could be 4 times 2 or 8 times 1. I'm going to do 4 times 2 with a 4 over here and a 2 over there, because 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 1 is 2, and if I do 2 minus 12, I'm going to get negative 10. So I want the 4 to be negative, and I want the 2 to be positive, because now I'll get the negative 12x from the 3x times negative 4, and I'll get positive 2x from 2 times x. This gives me with my two solutions of negative 2/3 and 4. Okay? The third one looks, or not third one, the last one looks really hard, but all of those terms actually have a 6 in common. It was 6 times 1, 6 times 3, 6 times 2, and that interior part is just 2 times 1 and 2 plus 1. So now I have my two answers of negative 2 and negative 1. The 6 out in front does not contribute another solution, because 6 is not 0. All right. Let's move on down. Convert the following equations to standard form. If you multiply out x minus 5 squared, x minus 5, x minus 5, please don't make the mistake of telling me that's x squared minus 25. You've got a negative 5x, and another negative 5x, and a positive 25. So I have 3 times x squared minus 10x plus 25, and I have a plus 2 on the end. Distributing the 3, gives me 3x squared minus 30x, and then I have 75 plus 2 more is 77. That's standard form. Similar process on this one. If I do x minus 4 by x plus 4, now I get x times x, negative 4 times x, positive 4 times x, negative 4 times positive 4. That ends up being x squared minus 16. I have a negative 3/4 in front of x squared minus 16. So I have a negative 3/4 x squared, and 3/4 of 16 is 12. Two negatives make a positive, so I have 12. Okay, moving on to number 4. Solve the equations for x. So if I wanted to get x by itself, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Then I take the square root, and I remember that there's both a positive and a negative value that squares to make 25. Positive 5 squares to 25, so does negative 5. Okay, then I have x plus 5, and now the squared is on the outside. So the squared is on the outside, so the first thing I do is take the square root. I have 2 answers for my square root. So I can do x plus 5 equals positive 5, or x plus 5 equals negative 5. Sometimes it's nice to write down those 2 separate answers. If I solve for x, I get x equals 0. Over here, I get x equals negative 10, just by subtracting 5 from both sides. Part C, a little bit trickier. Let's clear out the screen. Just work from the outside in. First, let's take away 5 on both sides. So 5 times x plus 5 squared is 125. Then divide by 5 on both sides. So I have x plus 5 squared is 25. Then it's just like the problem I just did a second ago. Square root, so x plus 5 is positive or negative 5. That means that x is 0 or negative 10. Alright, then the word problem on the back. So we've got our 2 friends they're going down. DeAndre and Bree go down to the Cleveland football field to kick field goals, and we have this wonderful equation here. Blah, 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 blah. And this equation is given in vertex form, and it has a negative a value. So I know immediately that I can put the vertex right here at 264, and I know it goes down. I don't know exactly where it hits the ground yet, but I know that that's where the vertex goes. If I plugged in x equals 0, that would be the beginning of the kick, because it says here x is the number of seconds since it's been kicked. If I plug in x equals 0, I get that y equals negative 16, 0 minus 2 squared, plus 64. If you type that into your calculator, you'll get that y equals 0. So I know I should put it right here at the point 0, 0. Then, where does it hit the ground? It hits the ground when y is equal to 0. So I should say 0 equals negative 16 times x minus 2 squared plus 64. If you solve that, just like we solved the other problem, take away 64. Divide by negative 16, and you get 4 equals x minus 2 squared. Take the square root, and you get 2 is the square root of 4. The other square root is negative 2. Then you add 2 to both sides, and you get x equals 4. Or over here, you get x equals 0. So then you've got all the information you need about the problem. So the ball is kicked from the ground at 0 seconds. It lands on the ground after 4 seconds, reaches its maximum height of 64 feet after 2 seconds. All right, last problem on here. You've got a band traveling for a concert, and here's your profit equation. This is in factored form, so I know that this is going to be on the x-axis when x is equal to 6 from the first factor, and when x is equal to 250 over 5 from the second factor, which is 50. So those are the two prices that will make no money at all. Presumably, if you charge only $6, you're not making enough money to pay for your expenses, and if you charge $50, maybe nobody's going to come. If it's a parabola in between it, then I know that the maximum point is halfway in between. And if I go 50 plus 6 over 2, I get 28. So that's the x value, because it's in the middle. And if I plug in 28 for x, 28 minus 6, 28 minus 6, 250 minus 5 times 28. I'm just going to use a calculator here. And I get 2420. And so that's the y value. That's the maximum profit. All right, thanks for watching. Please let me know if you got any questions.